Clayton Fountain was born a military kid, as he and his siblings moved around every couple of years. When he got of age, he joined the U.S. Marines like his father, but things didn't go as smoothly. At 19 years old, he shot and killed his staff sergeant for writing him up. He was sentenced to life imprisonment and sent to the United States Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, the highest security prison in the country at the time. In a few years, Clayton and an accomplice would commit a series of murders that would change the American prison system forever. Welcome to History's Biggest Villains. Clayton was born on September 12, 1955 in the U.S. Army Hospital in Fort Benning, Georgia, the oldest of 6 siblings. His father was a career soldier, so the family moved around every 18 to 24 months. His father served on the battlefield during the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and while his mother worked, Clayton, as the oldest child, took care of his younger siblings. When Clayton turned 19, he followed in his father's footsteps, joining the Marines in 1974, being stationed in the Philippines. Not long after his enlistment, he harbored a grudge against his staff sergeant because he had written him up for wearing PT gear in the mess hall. Clayton stole a pistol from the ship's armory, and once they reached the shore, he used it to rob a Filipino guard of his shotgun. He calmly walked into his staff sergeant's office, and without saying a word, he raised the gun, shooting him once in the chest, killing him. He then left the room and took 5 hostages before he was arrested. Clayton was sentenced to life in prison, being sent to the United States Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, the highest security prison in America at the time. By 1981, Clayton had joined the Aryan Brotherhood. He went under the wing of Thomas Silverstein, an authority figure in the Brotherhood. The DC Blacks were another prison gang who were at odds with the Aryan Brotherhood. These two groups used murder to get one up on each other. On November 22nd, 1981, Clayton and Thomas spotted a black inmate named Robert Chappelle in the exercise room. A few hours later, they strangled him to death in his cell. Both men were charged with a murder and each given an extra life sentence. A few months later, Cadillac Smith, the national leader of the DC Blacks, was transferred to USP Marion. Having heard about Chappelle's murder, he sought revenge against the 2 men. However, Clayton and Thomas approached Smith in his cell, stabbing him 67 times with homemade shivs. After the murder, they drug his body up and down the catwalk, displaying it to other prisoners. They both were caught and given another life sentence. After this murder, Thomas felt that he was being unfairly harassed by the Marion correctional officers, especially a guard named Merle Klutz. From that point on, Thomas became fixated on killing Merle, plotting his murder for months. On October 22, 1983, Klutz came to lead Thomas out of his cell for a shower. He used a ruse to get Klutz to walk in front of him. Stepping outside the cell of inmate Randy Gomez, Randy handed him a homemade shiv and managed to unlock Thomas's handcuffs with a makeshift key. He then stabbed Klutz 40 times, killing him. A few hours later, Clayton used a similar strategy to kill another guard, Robert Hoffman. The 2 murders of these correctional officers sent shockwaves amongst the prison community. The outrage from the murders set in motion the idea of a supermax prison. USP would be on permanent lockdown for the next 23 years. With the focus on rehabilitation no longer a priority, prison officials exerted physical and psychological dominance over the inmates, the vast majority of whom were permanently confined to their tiny cells, sleeping on concrete beds to which they would be spread-eagled and chained if they caused trouble. They were allowed 90 minutes of recreation per day, which was usually taken in the hall outside the cell. By comparison, the other prisoners spent an average of 13 hours a day outside of their cells. This extremely harsh form of control in the prison was adopted by other facilities across the country. This punishment-centered system lowered the rate of inmate murders and assaults at USP Marion. However, several human rights groups would file class action lawsuits against several prisons for racism, excessive violence, and inhumane conditions. The 2 murderers were sent to different facilities and isolated for 9 months. Both men were stripped down to their boxer shorts, placed in cells painted in white, with a toilet, sink, and mattress, with the lights on 24 hours a day and a solid steel door. They were not granted any contact with the outside world. No books, magazines, TVs, radio, or letters from their families. Their only contacts were the prison officials who didn't talk to them. Silverstein would spend the next 36 years in solitary confinement. In order to pass the time, he practiced mind travel. He would sit and remember in great detail incidents of his life that were pleasurable. He would also do push-ups and sit-ups. He asked for a Bible, and eventually the guards slipped one through the slot in his cell door. He was illiterate, but taught himself to read and write by reading the Bible, and later became a Buddhist. He died on May 11, 2019 at the age of 67 due to complications from heart surgery. Clayton would later say that he actually preferred the isolation. He never grew up with friends, and in the prison environment, he was always worried about someone attacking him. He was given access to classes, and a priest would come by to talk to him. Over the next 20 years, he sat alone in his cell, turning to religion in order to find his life's purpose. Clayton converted to Catholicism and completed several classes on theology during his isolation. He remotely earned an associate's degree in business and a bachelor's degree in philosophy and business from Ohio University, and began a master's of arts in religious studies from Catholic Distance University. Before he died, the Catholic Church was going to accept him as a Trappist monk, and he was going to practice silence. Clayton died of a heart attack on July 12, 2004, at the age of 49. You have to think about how easy it was for Clayton to kill someone. Like, oh, he ripped me up, so I'm going to kill him. It's just crazy, and I know a lot of people will be like, oh my God, why you can't isolate humans for 30 years, and you know, what about their mental health? These dudes don't care about anyone else's life. They will kill someone and won't even think twice about it. What can you do with those people, honestly? Like, honestly, I want to hear what people would do. Like, when you have someone who doesn't care about human life at all, someone who doesn't care about the consequences, oh, you give him a life sentence, it's not a deterrent because he's already in prison for life anyway. It might not be the best solution, I guess, ethically, but I mean, it reduces the murders and assaults when you keep people separate. What do you want these people to do? Like, they're in prison for murder, but I don't really think prison really is rehabbing people, because you got to really like change people's mindsets. Like, you can give people all the programs, you can give people an opportunity to do better things, but if their mind frame is not focused on doing the right thing, then it really doesn't matter what you do. If someone's came in as a murderer and a thief, and you haven't changed their mindset from being a murderer and a thief, now they're just a murderer and a thief with a college degree and some life skills. But this story is crazy, man. Like, they found a way to make a makeshift key. You got all this time in jail, you got anything. At this point, you find stuff to do when you're sitting in there all day. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all you guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed that, subscribe if you're new to my channel. Do not forget to turn on my post notifications if you haven't already. Thank you. Please be safe. I'm out. Peace.